Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Knitties dev stream for this week, the first in a long series of dev streams that we're going to be doing every week as we move into the alpha game design phase of the Knitties project. So really excited about running these. This one is more, we didn't really sort of plan this one out because of a few issues, but it's more just making sure that my setup's working and going through some of the AMA stuff that we've got, some of the AMA stuff that we haven't answered for like several weeks. So if you do have any questions, then you can drop them in the chat. That would be cool. And you can drop them in the Discord server as well. What I thought we'd do to start off with, though, is Udon just dropped a really cool image on the Twitter. Let me just bring it over. There we go. Oh, I need to not. I don't want to see the numbers. Because people have been guessing how many. Well, not guessing. People have been trying to figure out how many different projects are in this image at the moment. So I figured it would be quite a cool thing to do, just to see if any, just whilst other people drop into the stream. Hello Toasty. Hello Rowdy. Bajuski, hello. We're not going to be doing any like big dev stuff this afternoon. We're just going to be sort of like clean. It's a bit of housekeeping, I think. Is the best way to describe this stream this afternoon. Just getting some of the AMA questions cleared up. Having a look at a few things, and someone actually suggested that I go through and review some of the recent outputs from other projects, other game type projects, and I was considering doing that, maybe. Right, so yeah, this is a really cool image that Udon's just put out in the last 30 minutes or so, and we're supposed to find out how many projects are in the image. So whilst maybe people are sort of finding out that we're streaming, I figured I'd go through it and have a go myself. So obviously we've got the happy hopper itself. I need to keep track of this stuff, and I've just cleaned my desk, so I've got no paper anywhere. Right, so we've got happy hopper, that's one. We've got, oh, what's this one here? I don't know what that one is. Come back to that maybe. Yummy, so that's two. This one, I don't know what that is. I'm afraid I don't know what it is. We got JPEG down here, so that's three. We've got one of the ape projects down here, and I've got to be careful that I get it right, because it's a bit spicy in the ape category of NFTs at the moment, isn't it? I'm gonna say it's chilled Kongs, so that's four. I'm gonna wait for the Ape Society guys to join the stream and tell me that I'm completely wrong and a terrible person. So that's four. This one is that is Beyond Rockets, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Beyond Rockets. So that's five. This one here is Forgotten, I think. That's six. Dirt of Birds, with an incoming art update that looks really fantastic from the stuff they're showing at Con. It looks really, really fantastic. I guess that's one of the metas at the moment of NFT projects, is a lot of them are doing art updates. I guess Alessandro and the Spacebird situation kind of made it okay. So yeah, I quite like the new art for those. Although the new art is less derpy, so is it on brand? I don't know, but I like it. The frog, well, that is Happy Hoppers, I think, isn't it? So okay, I think I lost track here. Am I on 7 or 8? I think I'm on 8. Knitties, obviously. Udon did a really cool collab with us, S2 collab, with the Felix S2, which is pretty awesome. Is the hoodie itself a project? Growth token? I don't know. I feel like that should be one of the projects. Top right might be false idols. Okay, we'll check it out. We'll add it to the list. That's 9. So we'll check it out afterwards and see if we're right. That's NFT Maker, NMaker, or Unmucker. It sounds. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I feel like it should sound like one of the in Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation 1 when you pick up the mask. There's like a Mayan mask or something, and you pick it up and it goes Humaka, and I feel like it needs to sound like Ummaka, like that. So that's how I say it anyway. And obviously you've got Buffy there in the background. So that's 10 identified here at the moment. There's probably some really subtleties going on here as well that I'm not picking up. Cosplaying as a different maxi. I figured I'd wear one of the new hat colours, right? Let's have a quick look behind me. What have we got here? So yeah, that's this is the standard red, I think. I can't remember who's got one of these. Mixie's got one of these. Has he got one of these? No, Mixie's got a grey one. Mixie got the urban one, but actually, these are just tests, right? So, the urban, it's not. There'll only ever be one of those. Mixie's got like the one grey one in that particular grey colour. The urban's going to be lighter. I wanted it to be a lighter grey, so I need to find a lighter grey. But this is the this is the standard red. I'm actually going to opt for the bright red. I've not seen what the bright red looks like, but I think Knitties should be brighter, so we're going to opt for a brighter red for the lava. This isn't like a high-vis orange, but it almost feels like it's high-vis. I'm not too sure about it. What's our name for orange? Oh my goodness. I should know this. Obviously, I should know this, but I feel like the Knitties community knows this stuff better than I do. Flame, thank you very much. So yeah, that's the orange at the moment. I'm not too sure about it. I'm going to have a look if there are any other options, but actually, like against the red, you get a really nice difference, right? So they are distinctly different, so I quite like them. Yeah, that's cool. This one's like the forest color, but it's, I don't know, it's not quite perfect. I mean, we're never going to get it perfect, right? But it's more like a bottle green, this, I would say, or British racing green, as it were. But yeah, still not bad. It's not far off, but I might try out a couple of other samples just to get to the bottom of that. We've got some ones like this one. Obviously, the one I'm wearing doesn't exist on a Knittie. The yellow. We've got a purple one. This is another one that doesn't exist. But these are ones that could exist, right? We could quite easily drop like a blue label of a couple of different hat colours, and people could buy the blue label, and then we send them the hat or something like that. So blue one. I think this one's deep, right? This is deep. I always get confused because the original name was Pool, as in pool.pm, and we decided to change it at the last minute because we didn't want people thinking that it was because of Pool PM. It was meant to be like a deep pool, so that's why we went for deep in the end. Yeah. And then this one is like Outrun, but actually I feel like maybe Outrun should be a bit bolder than this. So yeah, we might pick like Dayglow pink or something like that maybe. because Outrun was meant to be a little bit of a nod to like colours of sort of mid 80s arcade games, specifically Outrun, those bright sort of mid 80s colours. So yeah, that's why it's called Outrun. Yeah, that one's like, I think that colour is called fuchsia. And yeah, I feel like it needs to be brighter. Whenever I look back at the S1s, it's always quite striking how bright and saturated all the colours are. So there's definitely some more samples to be done there before we even consider doing this as like a drop or anything like that, or people being able to buy these. Still own Outrun. So what version do you have, Rowdy? What version of Outrun do you have? My first experience of Outrun was one of those Tiger games consoles, like those Tiger games consoles that only does one game, and it's crap. It's like an LCD display, black and white LCD display with the black lines on it. A bit like a Game and Watch actually. And I'm looking over here because I've got a bunch of retro Nintendo Game and Watches, and I can't see them. Anyway. Oh, Xbox Arcade. There's a really cool homage, a mobile homage to Outrun that was released recently, and it was amazing. I can't remember what it's called. There's a couple of interesting games that are quite similar, I suppose, that have come out recently. There's one called Drive, which is, I'm not entirely sure what it's about, but you basically just drive this kind of car in an isometric world. I don't think it even does anything. So we settled on 10 for this. Anyone got an idea of what this is in the top left-hand side? Aku Aku. Was that what the mask? Is that the sound that it made? I seem to remember it going "oh my god" like that. Oh my god. I just got that sort of memory of it. I always thought it was a really cool sound. Doing more ash beanies than the other colours. We could do. I mean, I think what we do. Again, this is like a big if, because we've got so many things to decide about it. Regarding costs, for example, which is obviously an ongoing discussion or has been an ongoing discussion in boosters, and certainly has been in team chat of late, where we're sort of discussing how profitable things should be, like when compared to actual commercial good practice versus us wanting to give back to the community as well. So that there's that sort of thing, like if Potato is having to box up 200 beanies, I don't think we'd ever sell 200 beanies at the moment in this market. But if Potato was having to box up 200 beanies, then how many hours is that? And that all those kind of things we need to sort of like factor in at the moment. And it's very quickly, a beanie that costs you like £8 or £9 to make very quickly becomes £25-30, or the current exchange rate, I guess it's exactly the same in dollars, right? So and that's now a $30 beanie hat. Right. But having said that, like the research that I was doing on skateboard shops and all that kind of stuff, beanies tend to be around somewhere between $25 and $35 anyway. So I don't know, maybe that is the market point for these. And they are like they're really I don't know how to describe the quality of them. Like they're warm, obviously, as you'd hope, but they're definitely on the functional side rather than the fashion side of design. So I feel like I could wear this through the winter and it's going to stay on my head, whereas I've got other ones which are like way more expensive from fashion places on the high street that don't feel like they'd stay on my head. So and they don't, like when I'm up on the tops are in northern England, we've got moorland on the top of like plateaued hills, and locally they're known as the tops. And then when I'm on the tops and the wind blows, I often have a beanie that just blows straight off. These aren't going anywhere. So, yeah. Let's just go through these quickly. Right, yes, we went for 10 and no one figured out what was on the top left-hand side. Yeah, so... yeah, no, I don't think we figured out what this was on the top left-hand side. Well, so I think we've settled on 10 there. What are people saying? Well, it's definitely not 69. 39 with the happy hopper. Okay. Maybe the hoodie is one then. I'm quite interested. I wonder if people are going to list them at all. The Deadly Sins. Where's the Deadly Sins? I don't know. I don't know of that project, unfortunately. M-Maker, Buffy Bot, Chilled Kongs. I'm glad I got that one right. JPEG Store, Beyond Citizens, Clay Nation. Where's Clay? Where's Clay? Can anyone see Clay? Is it the frog there? It can't be the frog there because that's like basically Happy Hoppers, right? That's the clay frog is different. That isn't the clay frog. Where is Clay? I do not know. 14 projects. Ape Society. Yeah, I don't see Ape Society in there at all. Okay. Any other? No. This is really awesome though. Like, you know, this kind of stuff. Like, I totally mint this kind of thing. If Udon was going to put it out, I'm going to reply. Mint this, please. I would love to have it in my forever collection. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking the background itself might be something. These dots might be a reference to something. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, Bajuski's saying like quality beanies around 30 to 40 US dollars usually. You got 500. You got 500. You got 500 quality beanies. Yeah, I mean these are pretty good quality. Everyone who's received ones has been happy with them so far. So I think the feedback from the limited group that we've had is positive. They're made by that generic workwear company. Not Dickies. What's the other one? Beachfield. I think they're probably a bigger company in the UK though, to be honest, than they are in the US. But yeah, they're going to last. I think they might bobble a little bit quickly, but you know what beanie doesn't. You'd like some udon work on your office wall like these ones. Didn't I give you some of these? Like, didn't I send you some NFTs of these? I thought I sent you some NFTs of these because I had a couple of them, a couple of each, and I'm sure I sent them to you. You can have one of my well, I'll send you something for your wall when I next send stuff down to you. Yeah, they're really good resolution, so you can print them up really easily. Well, not really easily, but you know, you can print them up and they're pretty good. And what I did find though is standard frames, like standard frame sizes that you get in IKEA and Amazon or wherever it is that you're buying them, doesn't quite fit. Like there's a white gap around it, so you need to blow it up to be borderless, really. Oh, this was a Happy Hopper Con mint for $5. Are they not? Ah, are they still around? We should have done a con mint, shouldn't we? Oh, I wonder, Potato, did I lend you one so that you got the airdrop? I can't remember. And then maybe you sent it back to me. I can't remember. I remember sending one to you though. Maybe it was like the second one or something. Anyway. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. I really like that. So that's a con mint. So I need to try and get hold of one of those on JPEG. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of the AMA stuff on the Discord server. I've got 3 screens set up at the moment. I've moved everything around. So I'm just looking around for where the stuff is. So we've got this AMA questions section as usual. We'll just go through it. Oh, there's a few more been posted. Okay, cool. So we've got some legacy ones that have been hanging around for like a month or so. So we'll go through those first. I'll get rid of this lovely piece of work from my screen. Get it over here. There we go. Okay. And probably what I should do is, the annoying thing is like the YouTube chat bit is kind of not really easy to navigate to without me looking all the way over there. So I'm just going to minimize that a little bit. Okay, cool. So I'd love to have something more interesting in the background, but I'll just get to answering these questions, and then maybe let's just fire up one of the Unity scenes. There we go. Right, so Space Lady. Knitties seem to take delight in cutting-edge NFT dev stuff. Thank you. So I have a question for anyone who knows more than I do. Will there be any new cool stuff we can do with NFT metadata after Vasil? Like new things that can't be done now? So this question goes back to before the hard fork, I guess. I think that's definitely a question for Adam. Adam can definitely answer this one, and probably the answer that he'll give you is no, probably. Unless the metadata is part of perhaps like a smart contract transaction or something. And this is something that I believe that Alessandro has been working on. I don't really keep too much tabs on that side of things at the moment, I'm afraid, but definitely Adam would be the one to approach for that. Space Lady came to our stand at Con a few times, I think, which is awesome. Are all the set, this is from Meh, are all the set B and set A designs ready to be used in the alpha, or will more work be needed to integrate them? So the answer is that none of the art that we have for Knitties is necessarily the final art. Some of it will be. So if you look at the example on the screen right now, it's very unlikely that I'll be remodeling this helmet from Raven. Very unlikely. But there might be things like that are more common that you see more widely throughout this Knitties sort of ecosystem, like baseball caps, that might get a bit of a remodel at some point. Yeah, the baseball cap's been through 2 remodels so far, so that means it's been modelled 3 times since S1, and it may be remodelled again. I mean, basically, this stuff at the moment, it's if I was committing to art, final art now, it would present us with significant problems later on, because in 2 years' time, for example, we might change our mind about the way that we do shaders or that kind of thing, right? So the idea is that you have a broad understanding of what the art is and what the style is. Well, actually, you've got a pretty solid understanding of what the style is, but you might have a more general understanding of what the technical aspects are. So for example, if I zoom in over here and we're taking a look at the density of the meshes on the face, like these are kind of legacy items, right? Look at how dense the mesh is on those. Those are kind of legacy from when we weren't doing real time, because Knitties didn't start off as a real time project. So some of the assets for Knitties are at a different standard of production to other assets, so those need to be brought back into line. So are they ready to be used in an alpha? Yes, they definitely are. However, they will need more work. Like this, the Raven suit, for example, needs to be brought in line with the later S2 Set B Knitties now, because now Knitties have shoes, right? So this needs to be redone. The rig for the Knittie needs to be redone. And then all of the rigging of all of the individual components that need to be rigged, i.e. anything on the body, they all need to be re-rigged. And then the weights data needs to then be transferred onto the Infinity Knittie within the game engine. So there's quite a bit of work to do there, that we would have had to do to every asset anyway. So yes and no. It's like, it's one of those really. I'm afraid there's it's a 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. Something I've always wondered in the NFT space: how much can you reference something before you'd be worried about copyright? Where there are details regarding, okay, I'm just a typo or whatever here. Were there any details regarding S2B that were omitted because of potential copyright issues? So yeah, I mean, obviously we kind of trod the line a little bit with this. So what you'll notice, or you may not have noticed, is the ones that we've done that are heavily inspired by third-party designs, like Batman, for example, like the last knit. They were free. We didn't sell them. They were airdrops. So Adam and I felt that was a fair way to get around that issue, because essentially we're not charging anything for them. Alex was the same, although Alex, coming from Clockwork Orange, I would say is probably fair game. And it's, there's another thing to bear in mind here is, like, no one is ever going to confuse like Knittie Last Knit for a legitimate Batman product, right? That's just not going to happen. So we're certainly not treading on any toes, and that is a question that we ask quite a lot when we're working with IP, essentially. Did we omit any details? Yeah, so there was originally in the lantern there was going to be a mini Knittie head, which was going to be done like the Joker, which is the same as it is in the last Batman: The Last Night on Earth. And obviously we changed that to be a Lovecraft. We didn't want to get too close to it, basically. And there are subtle differences that you can point to and go, you see, it's not an exact copy. There are some things like that. But certainly it is informed by that sort of that sort of pop culture reference of the last knit, or the last night on Earth. Will Meepa and team stay on and design future Knitties as well? So that would be an ongoing conversation probably. I mean, we've got to decide currently what the next phase of Knittie design is. It's unlikely for the next while that we will be doing like character-based Knitties. We've got enough characters to work with for now, I think. What we will be probably doing is like designs of clothing and that kind of thing, and placing those on like a standard Infinity type setup, I think. What's the current order of steps to check off now that set 2B is complete? There are some really boring things that we need to do. One of them is we need to do I need to take all of the documentation that we've been producing, all of like the Google Docs where we've been collating information about the story world of Knitties and all that kind of stuff, and I need to collate all of those into what we call a game design document, a GDD. I've started doing that, and we put out a light version of that recently on Twitter. I'm just going to try and find it. Basically, a GDD is the document that's used in the game sector to comprehensively document the development of a game. And it's a document that strikes fear in the hearts of most games teams when you're a little studio, you've got this nice idea for a game, and then your benefactors, your backers, your patrons say, cool, yeah, can you send us the game design document? Then you go, oh no, we've got to create this mammoth document now. They used to be pretty scary things that people felt like they had to make in order to get funding, and you kind of do, but the modern games design document is a lot more flexible. But I'm just trying to find the GDD Lite that I made. The problem is we were so active on Twitter over con weekend that I can't find stuff that I posted. Come on, I'll find it in a second. I'm just scrolling down my Twitter feed trying to find stuff. Okay, should nearly be there. There we go. Okay, I'll just load this up on this window. So this is our GDD Lite, which is basically just some abbreviated sections that we thought would help people who wanted to find out a bit more information about the project, basically. And we turned this into a leaflet at cNFTcon. I'm just checking the chat. Okay, nothing major. So yeah, there's just a little bit more of information here, but and look at this achievements page. This is awesome, right? These are all different things that we've done, and we went through them as we were creating this document. It's like, wow. Like sometimes you just forget how active you've been, and how much work you've been doing. And this is like we're just getting started, really, which is the crazy thing. So yeah, there's all these cool little milestones that we've hit, or they were milestones once we hit them, And like there's some really cool stuff that like people don't know about, like the Arts Council England funded international exhibition that was hosted in China, which is amazing to be a part of. The Educational Community AR Hack event, where we did a little bit of minor community education on hacker culture, which was pretty cool. Our collaborations, overview and primary game loop, and this is a bit texty, but it's a game design document, so it's not like a really fun, accessible thing. And secondary and social loops. This is sometimes called like professionally in sector. This is nicknamed the monetary loop these days, like the microtransaction loop. Ours is a little bit different, operates in a little bit of a different way, but this is our royalty generation aspect, essentially. And a little bit about Ludo token and how it functions. I'm really looking forward to exploring what NMaker are doing with DIDs, digital IDs, and seeing if we can sort of somehow use that sort of system, integrate it with Ludo token. That would be really, really cool. Like, you know, one of the issues, and we talked about it loads on stream as we were developing Ludo token and afterwards, that game projects have, and this is why we developed Ludo token, is the wallet interfacing, right? And you can solve this fairly easily. I say fairly easily, but you can solve this with a light wallet integration. Like you can have a system where you connect through Unity. I've not actually looked into it because we weren't going to do this, but I probably should look into it actually. Where your game is web based, and then you have like a communication through JavaScript, I think, to the light wallet and back, right? Actually, if there are any libraries, if anyone's watching and they know of any libraries that are already set up to do that interaction, that would be really great. So that I don't have to reinvent the wheel. Actually, we weren't originally planning on doing that, but I think for the next series of alphas, we probably will do a web-based release, just so that people don't have to keep downloading the apps and stuff. So we'll probably just drop all the alphas on a web server somewhere so people can play them online. You can try them on different devices and such then as well. But if anyone does know like of any libraries for that, that would be great. Just let me know so I don't have to code one myself. There's probably a bunch of Web3 wallet like type setups on GitHub, I should think. And then of course, like the method that we are planning on going down is kind of like we are planning on publishing on devices rather than on web. And crypto raggies have done this, right? But they've run into the problem that games projects are gonna hit, and that is that how do you create an authentic? How do you know that the wallet that the user is saying they have is their wallet, right? So what they did is they created their own wallet, and they've got, it seems like from what I can tell when I was playing on the Raggies game on my phone, it seems like it's still reliant on some kind of web request between the game engine, the game that's running on the device. It communicates to the wallet app through like a web request or something, because it needs to use the browser to do it. So even though it's kind of hidden, it kind of does this web request, which is quite interesting. It's an interesting problem that we're going to have to solve as a community, I suppose. But yeah, it'd be really interesting to hear other approaches. Bajewski's in the chat. I wonder, Bajewski, if you sort of arrived at a solution to how you're going to handle the wallet connection stuff yet. Like we're using Ludo token, obviously, which is incredibly adaptive, but it's basically it pulls stuff from wallets, right? You give it an address, and it will pull stuff like the contents of that wallet essentially into the game engine and serialize it and all that kind of stuff, or at least your game, your C# or your C serializes it. But the initial wallet connection, like we haven't actually explored that yet. We haven't, we figured it would be an easy problem to solve later down the line. But yeah, it'd be interesting to hear how you guys are solving it for your game. Anyway, and then production specification. So it's a bit more information about, I say a bit more information, a bit of a summary really. Estimated development schedule, so alpha to beta dev phase to 2024. 2024 estimated public version 1 release. We're going to be targeting delivery on multiple platforms, but we're remaining agnostic as to which platforms those are at this time. So we're not doing anything that's really specific to certain platforms. We're using agnostic methods so that we can hopefully publish relatively easily to multiple devices. And that's like a GDD Lite. This is a very light version of GDD, and the GDD wouldn't look like this. This was just because we were printing it off as a leaflet. what we'll actually do is this will be like a markdown document, publicly accessible, once we get to that point. So yeah, that is going to be one of the next big steps, and it's like a really it's going to take a bit of time, and it's time that you sort of like it's administrative duties, right? It's not time that you enjoy spending necessarily. It's just collating and clarifying a bunch of the information. Larger studios have people who do this for them. Okay. Is there anything that you've mentioned building that has turned out as a little too difficult? And did Adam continue his Unity learning? I think Adam's been focused on Con recently, so we built the infinite world generator thing, and then Adam kind of went almost fully on Con duties, and yeah, so I anticipate he'll be picking up some Unity stuff again once he's back from. I'm assuming he's at Rare Bloom at the moment. Yeah, maybe picking up a bit more Unity stuff when he gets back. Is there anything you've mentioned building that's turned out as a little too difficult? I don't think there is. I think there's things that you like. Infinite worlds, right? We kind of sorted the infinite worlds problem out. We did it, and it's a bit clunky at the moment, but it works, right? But and this like infinite worlds are like it's theoretically infinite, but it's a challenging premise, and the way that we want to build the Knitties world with this kind of art style that you see on your screen at the moment, like you can create an infinite world like Skyrim, right? And it's not actually that challenging. Like you can do that fairly comfortably. I bet there's a bunch of YouTube videos. I'm just thinking of a developer who does YouTube videos, and I'm just thinking, I bet they've done one on this because this is right up their alley. But for what we want to do, which is like this very segmented world with like curated individual components that go together to make a whole, that's a lot harder. So we developed the system, and then like in chat I was like, we need to like refocus this system to deliver us something a bit different, and that's really what I'm looking forward to speaking about in coming weeks, as I try and navigate that space in my head as to how that manifests within the game engine. And yeah, so I'm just trying to fathom that at the moment, and I think that one of the best ways recently that I found the best analogies is the Lego Mario playsets, where you have these like individual gameplay components of this small world that you can reorder and reconstruct to build like new pieces. And it's essentially like those playsets are like a roguelike playset. So Knitties is heavily inspired not by roguelikes but by Dark Souls and Soulsborns or Metroidvanias, whatever your preferred term is these days for that kind of game, that exploratory game. But I think when I was playing Returnal recently on the PS5, I found that I was really enjoying like the rediscovery of space as it changed. Same space but different, right? And then I was trying to think how this would work with Knitties, and I was playing around with Astro on the PS5, which is again like been a massive inspiration for the direction for Knittie Nook. And I thought, this reminds me of the Lego playsets, and specifically the Mario Lego playsets. And I think really, like if you look at something like that, then that's probably how Knitting Nook will probably end up being, is like a roguelike Metroidvania that uses procedural sort of processes to create unique gameplay situations. And so the question originally was, is there anything you've mentioned building that's turned out as a little too difficult? I don't think there's anything that's turned out to be a little too difficult. I think there's problems that we've tried to solve that we didn't need to solve, like really difficult problems that we've solved, or that we've attempted to solve and solved, or have felt like we needed to solve but subsequently decided we didn't need to. Those are probably the things that, that rather than thinking about them saying, rather than saying that is there anything we said we're going to build that was too complicated, we've often done stuff that is too complicated that we didn't need. Yeah, that's clear, I hope. Bajiski, at the moment, holders need to create an account on web. Yeah, an account-based system, we were thinking about that. But we were thinking, like, when I saw the NMaker DIDS stuff, I thought, could we use that? Like, could users log in with a Twitter account or something, maybe? But this is going to be a problem, as you know, because you've had to solve it with your account system. This is going to be a wider problem with games, I think, is that how do you create quick access in what most people will probably want, a decentralized thing? I mean, that's, I guess, what crypto offers, is decentralized ID or access to games potentially. So how can we make use of that? So I think digital IDs are going to be possibly the way of doing that. I was having a chat about a month and a half ago with I'm trying to remember the other people on the team, but essentially it's Joseph Miranda and the team that were working with him on Digital Lowlives. I cannot remember, and I apologise to them if they do watch this video. I've completely forgotten. And I was just having a chat with them, and they mentioned digital IDs, and I was like, I'm not too sure what direction those are going to go in just yet, you know. So, but it looks like it could be quite interesting solution to this problem that we face as games developers in Web3. But I suppose one additional thing is, like, you can verify that a wallet belongs to a particular person using a digital ID. I wonder if you could. I wonder if you can query the digital ID to get the wallet address. Like, if they've only given you their Twitter handle, there would need to be like an API somewhere where you would send that Twitter handle, and it would send you back the wallet addresses that are associated with it, and then you can query the blockchain, right? Via whatever means you want to query it, with Blockfrost, for example, or like Ludo Token for projects that don't want to use a paid service. Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Digital ID could work, but shouldn't be mandatory. It's a tricky one. I feel like what we need to do in the Cardano NFT space is we need to work together to come up with a cohesive solution for commercial games developers that solves this problem so that they don't have to, essentially. But, it's easier said than done. What is my favorite S2B Knittie design? I think Switches is really cool, just because of all the stuff we did with the Blue Label mints. I think that was pretty awesome, and the design, the work that went into the Switch, the Tomato computer was, there was so much work in there. So much work in that, getting that working, the amount of testing we did. Like, in the end, the version that you got in the NFT is not the version that actually it was, the fully animated version, which is really what we wanted to do, because of all of the issues with the Apple AR kit. So yeah, Lots of people experience these issues. Equine experience these issues, right? Where you load up your AR horse and then looks fine, and then you load it into your room and it looks like the tail is completely straight out. It's basically in its bind pose, you would call it. So yeah, but yeah, Switch is definitely my favourite S2B design. What's going to happen to the 2 perfect number sets that still exist? Did they get a Cosmo drop? I'm pretty sure they got a Cosmo drop. If Potato's still here, he can confirm. And those will be given away or be prizes at a later date. Will the default character in the game be shoeless? And only people that own one of the 4 Knitties from set B, since shoes have been added, will have that option. All Knitties will have shoes. They will all have shoes. Yeah, moving forward. So this is part of our art update. The current meta, right, is projects doing art updates. Well, our art update is ongoing. It's been ongoing for the last year, and it's in the game environment because we're not dependent on the NFT media data for the in-game data. So our updates visually will be in-game. So I'm really excited actually about that when people load up, the next sort of set of alphas where they can see their Knitties, they can load them in, they can customize them. When they see their S1s, like at the current standard that we're working to, it will be pretty cool. Okay. We've got a bunch of questions here from Matthew Davis. I think Matthew Davis is Corn Mafia, right? I think Cornucopia person. So I'm just going to dip into chat and see if there's anything been posted on there. Oh, so they are on JPEG Store. Okay. Okay. Scarlett wants a Knitties pin. I've got is it the NFT version of the Knitties pin that Scarlett wants? I've got several of them from the pin bin, from the virtual pin bin. Yeah, so streams, these streams are going to be running, we want to cross a couple of time zones, so we would like to cross a couple of time zones. So I think generally we're probably going to be streaming from about 1 p.m. UTC in future through to around 5 p.m. It'll be quite a long stream with me just working, or it'll be somewhere between there, basically. Because I can't do 4 hours every week. You'd get sick of me anyway. But we just wanted to make sure there was a regular sort of content, video content going out. Let's see. Okay, that's fine. Nothing else there, and nothing else in YouTube chat. Okay. Topic. Oh, these sound like serious questions. Okay. I should have my baseball cap on for these. Like in Every Which Way But Loose, when Philo Beddoes' brother, played by the fantastic actor Geoffrey Lewis, who was the father of, is it Juliette Lewis? Amazing actor. There's a really fantastic scene in a film he's in called Way of the Gun, which is the film that I think made Benicio del Toro famous. And the scene is like a Russian roulette type thing, and it's like this really tragic situation, but it's kind of comedic as well. Yeah, it's well worth looking it up on the YouTube. If I find a link to it, I'll post it in the Discord later on. But Jeffrey Lewis in Every Which Way But Loose, when things got serious, he'd turn his baseball cap backwards. So, how much of an effort is being made to reach out to other projects for collaboration or ideas for growth? Are you engaging in Twitter Spaces very often? It seems like this is a big thing for projects that are growing right now. Yeah, so Twitter Spaces are definitely a huge area, and I've started going into them recently. One thing we need to be wary of with the Knitties brand, and I think that a lot of projects also need to be wary of this, is that some of the Twitter Spaces are very, very spicy and adversarial, confrontational. Some are unwelcoming. And so I've been doing the rounds. I've been trying to get the lay of the land and figure out if there is a Twitter space on Cardano that doesn't have people saying words that would make other people feel uncomfortable. And I've yet to find one. Brutally honest with you, I have yet to find one where there isn't some kind of targeted accusations being thrown around, or colourful language, or some just spicy stuff being discussed all the time, So we've got to figure out Matthew Davis. I'm just going to say Matthew from now on, where the spaces that are productive uses of our time, that are constructive, that are friendly, that are good spaces for people coming outside of the ecosystem. And by outside of the ecosystem, I mean not from crypto at all, i.e. the audience that we need to attract to crypto, that they can come into and they don't have someone just blasting at them instantly. That's the kind of thing that we need to do. So I'm doing my research on spaces, and I think probably the only space that I've ever been on like that has been there have been some spaces that have been run by projects themselves, and they've not let anyone speak on them. Clay are pretty good with this at moderating it, and just basically what Clay essentially do in their spaces is say, we're going to run a space and you're going to listen to us for 30 minutes and you're not going to say anything. And they're not being like brutal or anything. They've got a brand to protect. So as soon as the really spicy people start coming on and start, getting nasty, you've gone off brand. So they do have brand to protect. So that's really, really important. And we are the same, really. And this is something that I'm learning from our own boosters, actually, is that I need to be a little bit less spicy at times as well. How much of an effort is being made to reach out to other projects for collaboration? We are open to collaboration at this time. We probably haven't advertised it too much, to be honest. We have put it out to a few of our friends of Knitties that we're open to collaboration, and I think we really love to collaborate with some people. I think we would love to collaborate with some of the people who have been supporting us in some of those spicier spaces. We'd really love to do a bit of that. Cardano Robin, shout out to Cardano Robin, who's really kind of like, brought to people's attention the work that we're doing. We've been discussing potential collaborations. And Dracano, of course, loves to do one with Dracano. We'd love to uplift a few smaller projects, I think. I don't like calling them smaller projects, but I would love to get some of the other projects that perhaps are sort of like lost in the ecosystem. We're certainly not front and center of the ecosystem, but we might be like quite a good stepping stone for some of those projects to get a bit of exposure, and I'd really like to do that. In terms of collaborating with some of the bigger projects, in terms of like the metaverse projects and such, fairly open on those things, really. But yeah, we'd have to see what came through. I think that we've got to bear in mind that actually there's a question about this in a minute, so I won't go through that. Topic: history and purpose. How did Knitties start? Knitties started in March 2021, and it started when a couple of friends of mine got in touch and asked me if I could develop them a tool that produced combinations of images. I already had the tool, and I repurposed it to what they were asking me to do. And I put some test data out on Twitter, just like, oh yeah, anyone's looking at doing this, I can do this for you. And someone said, oh cool, how can I mint these things that you put out? Because the things I put out were Crypto Knitties, the early iteration of Crypto Knitties. And I was like, I never really thought about doing a collection of my own. And then, as it happens, I stayed up for about 4 weeks straight, because all the developers, right, back in March, all the developers were like in different time zones, and we were, a lot of the early people in the space were trying to navigate all of this stuff, trying to find people who knew how to do X, Y, and Z, and some of the early, my Discord chats were with people who were like, some of them become really big, huge people within the space, and some people aren't around anymore. And we were all trying to navigate this stuff together. And I guess with Crypto Knitties, we kind of got there third in line, right? So yeah, that was how we started. And when we actually started, Knitties was not a utility project. No one was talking about utility. They were just like wanting to buy the things, right? Buy the cute things, and that's what Knitties was. There was never any onward plan for them. And gradually, what happened is we supported a bunch of other projects with the tooling that we developed to launch, like loads of projects. Some of them are, I would use the term loosely, but regarded by many as blue chip projects, and we helped them to get like where they are essentially. Certainly BuffyBot was involved in a lot of that stuff, which is Adam's thing, which was developed like with Knitties initially, but subsequently, like obviously like the tooling that I've used as well, the image based tooling that I used, that's been used by numerous projects now as well. But yeah, we sort of spent a couple of months doing that, and then we came back to it and just thought, right, what are we going to do with Knitties? And at that time, the question was all around utility and gaming, and we decided we'd solve that problem, because all these projects were saying, all these games projects were putting games in the roadmap, and they were saying, oh, we need to wait till smart contracts before we commit to any utility, before we commit to developing all this utility that we've promised you. And Adam and I figured that that was just bullshit, right? Oh, sorry, BS. And you didn't need to wait for smart contracts for any of this stuff. So we set out to prove that, and we did some pretty innovative stuff that became the first Knitties Alpha. And there's some really early videos, like a few months ago. Blockfrost came out and put out a video which was like, oh look, we can show you how to use an NFT to open a door in the game engine. And Adam was like, that's exactly what we did over a year ago, right? It's like the exact same demo basically, just with different graphics. It was like the exact same functionality, and we'd done it like a year ago. And shown loads of people how to do that stuff as well, which was quite interesting. Yeah, because it was sort of like, oh, amazing. Because bear in mind, like when we were doing this stuff, it was before the second wave of NFTs. Like the second wave of Cardano, I would debate like is the sort of like the Thor era, right? So I call it the Thor era because Cardano Thor sort of came in. I think he said he came in around September of 2021. And that's the time when like all the influencers started coming into it and all that sort of stuff. And those people didn't necessarily have eyes on our project, because we'd sort of like been developing, we were building, right? Our demo was cool because it has a Knittie. Our original demo didn't have a Knittie. Our original demo had, I think it was a space bud, actually. Like the first demos of Ludo Token were on my Oculus Quest, and it was shooting space buds. Crazy, like I'm not sure how many people actually saw that stuff. You know, where you on the Oculus Quest, you load up you enter your wallet number, your wallet address, and it loads up your space buds. And if you've got one with a blaster, you've got a blaster, and you can blast all your space buds. What was the original intent behind the project? I think I've covered that, but basically, we were like a art project or collectibles project, I should say, originally. And what value did Knitties believe it could offer to the space? We were offering tooling, and if you look at a lot of the projects that launched after us, they were using our tooling. We basically gave it to them to launch, and supported them with that as well. Even things like sending web specifications to them, just saying, right, can you send us these images and we'll get the website up and running for you, all this kind of stuff. Legality, I think I covered that previously. Obviously there are, I would say Raven is fair game. Definitely inspired by Poe Dameron, but it's like it's surface level really. Like this one here, for example, that's on the screen at the moment, this version of Raven. This is like Top Gun, basically. This is Goose from Top Gun. That's his helmet, but it's not his helmet, right? Because it's a little bit different. But that's inspired by Goose, but no one's going to say, oh, that's Top Gun, right? No one in their right mind. They might go, oh yeah, there's some visual themes there. I think that there are a lot of other projects that are in slightly hotter water than us, So around that, I mean, we were quite resistant to doing that kind of, I'll call it, no, it's not infringement, but that fair use, like, that area of fair use where it's like what is too much and what is too little, right? That grey area. We were quite resistant at first in getting even close to that grey area, but and certainly, like, we would not use terms like there is one project that's used terms from Lord of the Rings. Like, they've named all of their things, their races, all the terms from Lord of the Rings. I mean, bear in mind that one of the largest board game companies in the world has recently had to rename all their fantasy range because it infringed upon the Tolkien verse, Tolkien intellectual property, which is proactively protected by his family. It's like that you just don't go there. Like, everyone in the industry knows you just don't go, you don't infringe on Tolkien, right? Because you just get hit big time. Even like the way that you spell elf or elves, like you've got to change the way you spell it. Like if you're doing like a fantasy game or like a film or something. So yeah, are there any problems? We don't think there are any problems at all. And if they are, we will quite gladly give all of the income that we generated from those Knitties to whomever wants it. A big fat zero because we gave them away. Yeah. I guess the question would be, would having them potentially generate profit within the game, in which case we would need to decide how we would utilize those Knitties specifically within the game. There are only like about 200 of them, I think, in total. Well, that'd be like 250 maybe. Future plans. Is there a hard limit on number of Knitties that will ever be? No, there is a hard limit on the first season, right? Because the policy is locked and we aren't doing any Knitties in that kind of style anymore. How many seasons are you planning for? We're not really planning, like, well, first of all, I don't want to be doing seasons anymore. I think seasons is just this dated way of thinking of projects. Personally, we need to think more of them as an expanding space or an expanding volume rather than a collection of series of releases. But will there be more Knitties? Absolutely. And will there be more sort of sets of Knitties dropped out? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is not a one and done project. You know, we're not going to mint out a certain amount and put something like a half-assed game together and then go, right, see you later. This is like we'll take it until either it fails or it wins, right? We'll keep going with it until it's either unsustainable or you know, Sony knock on the door and say, we'd like to buy your project off you. Here's, like, you know, we're going to put it on PS5 and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so we'll keep going until it's either like it's unsustainable or it becomes like what's the word, like it has inertia. It's like a snowball rolling downhill. Yeah. Ekea games. Yeah. So they're the company. Interestingly, though, they also output all of the Lord of the Rings tabletop games as well. But yeah, so they had to change all of their naming conventions because of legal action from the Tolkien family, and they're not the only ones either. It's an unwritten rule that you don't do Tolkien in games, you know. Let's see, just getting to the bottom of these questions. Have you considered raising the price of mints? Yes. And we did, reluctantly. Anyone from the community will tell you. These are all questions from Matthew Davis again. Yeah, so this was it took some convincing for us to raise the mints. We were not happy to do it. Well, I say we weren't happy. We were happy that the community was happy for us to do it, but it wasn't. We didn't put the word out there. That the suggestion came from the community for us to do that, and it has helped. You know, there's no doubt about that. It helped us put a pretty decent stand together for Con and all that kind of stuff. Have you considered raising the price of mints and lowering the quantity of Knitties, or is the low price intentional? It's totally intentional. It's about remaining accessible. Could we do some like super limited ones in the future? The Blue Label range has been set up to. Blue Labels are Knitties that don't have any necessary relationship to one another. They're like groups of Knitties within the Blue Label policy. So, for example, you could have a one-off Blue Label, but you could also have like 125 of the data doggies that we did, right? There's no sort of rules for our Blue Label. It's just where we put stuff that doesn't fit into a collection, right? They're not Red Label Knitties. They are not, you know, they're not done in the same way. They are different, and yeah, so we could do some like really limited higher cost things for sure, potentially in the future. We'd be open to that, and again, like any ideas for that, just drop it in chat. I mean, at the moment we are pivoting now to games design, I would say, not necessarily games development at this point, but games design. We're pivoting from alpha tooling to alpha design, moving forward, basically. So we've already developed like the core tooling that's needed, but we just need to finesse it to fit our game design aspirations. And that is all of the AMA questions. So let's go back into chat. What is with the weird distribution? Oh, this is for the pin bin. I was trying to mint more Aeon pins, and I kept getting, like, I got 4 K-Fez in a row. Well, just 4 in the same mint of 10. But supposedly they're all the same rarity. Like, as in, like, all the badges were the same rarity, and yet, you sort of end up with like 3 or 4 of all the other ones, and you only get 1 Aeon. RNG and all that. But yeah, I have. You can probably look in my wallet actually. Let's just load up what I've got. I've sold a few things, from that. I got a load of old money. I say load. I got like 3 or 4 old money ones. I sold my Aeon one for 300, and then I realised that actually I probably sold it a bit early because I think the one that I had was the one that there are fewest of, right? And they're like the lowest price ones, like 800 ADA now. Let me have a look. I'm going to look at my wallet, my Nami wallet. Let's see what we've got. Pin bin. Okay, this is loading up a load of okay. I need to get the policy ID, right? Okay. I'm gonna hide that. Right. This is what I've currently got that isn't being sold. I've only got 2 left. I've only got 2 Knitties. Oh, hang on, no, they can appear. Okay. Yeah, they don't all appear in a row, do they? 5. Yeah, quite a few there. I wonder how many people realise that there are variations of the forgotten pin and the with spaces pin. I wish we'd done something else. They sort of approached us a little bit late for us to do something cool, but I just wish we'd just stuck a couple of Knitties, a couple of different ones, and done like a mono maybe, like 4 variations. That would have been cool. Okay. Right. Aki's talking about D&D. Recall D&D had to rename hobbits, but that was long ago. I don't know if I talked about this on stream before, but like Dungeons and Dragons, the importers of Dungeons and Dragons to the UK, the first official importer was a little shop in Nottingham called Games Workshop, and a couple of years later they started writing their own games and making models, and out of Games Workshop, Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone, they started writing books, a very famous series in the sort of late 80s, early 90s called Fighting Fantasy, which are choose your own adventure type books, like role play books basically, where you've got to read them with a couple of dice, and Steve Jackson went on to work on he went to teach computer science, I believe, at a university in Middle England, and then Ian Livingstone went on to be the CEO of Eidos, and they became the publisher of Core Design, who produced Tomb Raider. So, like, you can take it all the way back. You can see like this lineage of the D&D phenomenon in the US, giving birth and effect to what we now recognise as the modern computer games industry in the UK. there you go. Bit of history there. Toasty's asking, oh hang on, Aki's saying, oh okay. Toasty's saying that is Knitties Games Watch going to continue? So one of the problems we had with Games Watch, maybe Pajuski would be up for doing one. Knitties Games Watch, as you know, like the first, we did one, and there's been one. It's a Twitter space where we did a really like a deep dive, technical dive on a particular game project, and it was a test situation, and we ran one of these Twitter spaces, and we ran it with pixels, right? So Adrian Fanatu or Tui Fanatu from Pixels came on, and it was a really cool space. Like it was like a really good space. You know, it was well structured. It was like a little radio program. It was awesome, and basically, yeah, it went really, really well, and the questions we were asking were really technical. But just he's getting off, I think. He's like, get me out of here before he asks me to do something. And we had a load lined up. We had a load of projects lined up. After the Pixel space, all of those projects pulled out. And basically they were just saying that the questions were too complicated. That we were asking, and that we really weren't asking complicated questions, but we were asking questions about like, how are you doing this? How did you make that decision, right? And for me, it was quite illuminating to see these projects pull out. But unfortunately, we just realised that perhaps there wasn't a space for that kind of stuff. It wasn't a hype space. It wasn't it wasn't about hyping up the project. But the cool thing is like, Adrian was amazing, right? He was able to answer all the questions, but I think that there was a perception that perhaps other projects wouldn't be able to. They weren't complicated questions, but they were. I would describe them as you need to have your developer hat on to be able to answer them. So I don't know. Possibly, I think. I'm not sure if the space is ready for that. I really am not, because the problem is that the space that we did with Adrian was great, because Adrian, I'm going to phrase this carefully, but Adrian knew what he was talking about, and he was able to respond to the questions. I don't have confidence that there are many games projects on Cardano who can answer those questions in the same way that Adrian did. So I think that type of space, I'm not sure if there is room for it on Cardano at the moment, on the Cardano NFT scene at the moment. Knittie cNFT watch or something, so you get a wider variety of guests. Yeah, I think that's possibly what we would have to do. We'd have to dumb it down a little bit, basically. And maybe that's where we can fit into all of this stuff, is creating that kind of friendly, accessible space where none of the naughty words get used, right? That would be really cool. Okay, so I think I've talked quite a lot now. We've been on for like an hour and a half, but anyway, let's go through what I was planning on going through. I was going to crack open a deck of cards, actually. I was going to crack open a deck because obviously, like, I've got a few Knitties, and I've got a deck to crack open. I was going to open one up. I was contemplating it, but we'll see. If you want me to open it up and see what rares and stuff I've got, then let me know in the chat. Maybe I can open so I think I'm allowed 4 decks, right? So I can crack them open on the next few streams. Deck opening. Have I got any, just so Ekir and Med don't go absolutely mad, have I got any spare sleeves? I probably have got some behind me somewhere. Okay. Are my hands clean? Do it. Okay, let's have a quick look. I'm just trying to make sure I don't pull my... Oh, I've got a few sleeves here. Okay. Need some more though. I think I've got a delivery coming in a minute, so I've just got to keep an eye out for that. Okay. I don't have my camera, my side camera here either, so let's have a quick look then. So, yeah. I haven't tried opening one of these yet. What's the best way to open it with a sticker on? I actually haven't started. Where are the nitrile gloves? Oh man, it's quite hard. This sticker. There must be an easier way of opening these. Does everyone have to wreck their boxes to get these open? Oh, there we go. Right, okay. You can kind of see it if it's this high, right? Okay, this is my first deck of Knitties. Trading cards. Yeah, not opened one yet. Okay. So obviously, like, we know that we're getting a stack of 40 commons, right? So let me go to the back here. Okay. There we go. Right. Ooh, they smell pretty good. Okay. Udon Felix. Last knit. Oh, they feel so good. Like they're so thick, right? Okay, I love this one. Absolutely love this one. Have I got a full camera set up? I don't think I've got a full camera. Maybe, hang on a second. I'm going to... Can I duplicate this? Does that work? Let's see if this works. There we go. Right, yeah, so, boof. That's one of my favourite ones. I really like the layout of all the stickers and things. One of my plans was actually, what I really wanted to do with this was do a special one with actual stickers, like little mini stickers of all of these projects on. I thought that would have been really cool, like as a special. Oh, I got the last knit alt art as well. That's a rare. Okay. Okay. Nice. I don't know how many people have seen all of these, you know. So that's the alt art of the last knit. Felix? No, that's not Felix, it's Zero. Sorry, Zero fans. Oh, there is a Felix. That's probably one of my favourite cards, actually, that one. I don't think... Oh, there are a couple of packs that don't have alphas. I think this is one of them. Oh, okay. Sorry, I should be really happy, actually. But anyway. Next one. And then, so some of the packs like don't have alpha cards because there's not enough alphas for all of the packs, and I've got one of the decks without an alpha card. I think I made sure that everyone else's decks will include the alpha cards, and then the rest, like the remaining decks, they all just got shuffled together. So that there's like 75 decks that have all got alpha cards in, and then the rest is like 50-50 chance, and this is one. And I've got a Cosmo as my final one. That would have been in the alpha slot on the deck. So okay, pretty cool. I won't sleeve them up right now. It's okay. I'm sure they'll be fine. I'll just move the plate of potato chips to the side. They'll be okay on the damp patch left by my cup of tea, won't they? Meg definitely angry right now and having regrets for not trading them at con. Yeah. So I guess we didn't really put a list out. Like, we should have put a list out of what there was available, right? To people. Potato's working on something for that. Yeah, I think how many is it, like 73? Is there 73 different cards? Including all, does that include all the alphas? Yeah, I think there's 12 alphas. Yeah, 73. Okay. And of course, like for a numbered set, there's only 54. Is it 52? What's the last number? I don't know what the last number is. Like for full. Again, it's one of these things like you should know it. I should know it. 54, yeah. So there's 54. And there's alt art within that, right? So the rares are the alt art. So the 54 are made up of common and uncommon. And then you've got the alt art, which are the alphas and the rares. So you can get a full set of 54, but then your set is of varying rarity depending on what else is within it, I guess. Okay, cool. We'll do the next one. We'll do one next time. Oh, there's some ink or something on my desk, and it's gone on the box. Meh. I'm so sorry. I think I don't know what that's come from. Okay, anyway. Doesn't matter. There actually is, like, there's like on my mouse mat, there's these black streaks now. Like something's come off of a pen or something. Right. So, what was I going to do today? So we're not doing like any dev today, and I'm not going to be on for like loads longer. Probably only about 25 more minutes. But I was talking earlier about like what's next for Knittie Nook. So what development are we going to have next, basically, on Knittie Nook? And one of the things we're going to start doing is building out some little tiles, if you like, or some little gameplay areas like this. I think these look great. Like, these just look so cool, right? And I remember when we put these out, people were just like, those look amazing, etc. And obviously we presented them in a certain way to kind of riff on some of the metaverse stuff that's being put out. But people really like these, and increasingly, like as I was talking earlier about roguelikes and such, I'm thinking that this kind of setup is a really nice way to go. And I've realised that I don't have my other screen on. There we go. Sorry. So this was originally just an art test, and I just thought that actually this is our game world. It's just like, it's lots of different islands and things, right? Just like Lego Mario. We've had some really cool feedback from people about Con, and I think that Con's been really eye-opening in terms of our audience and where we need to focus our attention in terms of the people that might be playing our game. And Potato was saying that our stand was quite popular with younger audience members, which is great because that's what we were hoping to attract, and also perhaps people who fall outside of the conventional audience for NFTs and crypto gaming type things, which is exactly what we are, right? That's where we've positioned ourselves, and I think it's really important to respond to that kind of stuff by producing, by looking at the things that community are interested in. And so the original intention was we were going to produce this like infinitely generating world with like islands within it and all this kind of stuff. But actually I think that we're going to do something that's a little bit more constrained than that, that's a bit more curated, that we're discussing game, the duration of a sequence of gameplay, a play session, if you will. And we are talking about how long should a play session be, and I think we settled on about 20 minutes. Like, people should be able to play for about 20 minutes and be able to get off without worry of things disappearing or not getting to the next thing, So I think that's the approach that we're going to take. And this kind of art style, I think, this is our art style, but this kind of style of land and layout is something that's gone down really, really well. Whenever I load this up and I show people who haven't seen this stuff before, they go, oh. And so what I'm going to be doing is that there are two bodies of work that need to happen at the moment. The first body, well, actually no, there's not two, there's three bodies of work. There is legacy integration, there is technical, I say technical, that's not necessarily the right term, although it is technical. There is blockchain integration, which we're pretty much all the way there on. And there is games design, basically. Legacy work is the stuff that Mev was asking questions about earlier, which is about the art that we've got, all of the assets we've got, refining them, developing them, and putting them into a situation where they can be instantiated within the game relatively easily. And of course, you've all seen this sort of stuff working already. In fact, have I got a scene of this going? This is a project where I was iterating really fast, so I've not organized anything, so everything's like really unorganized, which is fine, because that's how personally I iterate really quickly, is I don't think about organization. And then what happens is I then scrap everything and create a new project for every stage of alpha development as I'm iterating. And we're at the point now where I'm actually going to need to be producing a final. Oh my goodness, look at how old this is. Look at this thing. Wow. These are all these sort of iterations of different Knittie things, playable Knittie things. Does this one, I wonder if this still works. Yeah, it does. Oh, look at that run. Look at that run. Ooh. Yeah, so this is the materials change for this one. Look. Goodness me. That looks so strange. Look at it. That's because it's using mocap data. Wow. All these materials have changed, that they don't work properly. Oh, it's so weird looking at the Knittie move like that. So yeah, this is basically just a collection of all of these projects. Oh, what's we got here? Let's have a look at this. This is the wallet connection, I think. The initial wallet connection. Oh, we can do this live. If it's still functional. Let's see. No, it isn't. It's not still functional. Why isn't it still functional? Let me come out of this. Let's have a quick look at the game manager. It's got a wallet address. Oh, I think I've disconnected the Ludo token stuff. Yeah, I think I disconnected Ludo token. Okay, never mind. I'm just going to check that that's what's happening. Oh no, it's okay. yeah, it's just not picking up the Knitties. Yeah, it's not picking up the Knitties. Why isn't it doing it? I think it's because I've probably altered the script. This is quite an old demo, obviously, so you'll recognise the environment, the sort of setup for this. But essentially, we also need to build out the Knittie customization system, which is the blockchain integration stuff. So that is all working, even though this didn't work. That's because it's an old demo using some code that I've since modified for the later demos. And basically getting people to be able to load up their Knitties as soon as possible, hopefully in a web-based format. And that's where the Light Wallet integration that I mentioned before, that's where that comes from. So that's what we're hoping to do next on that front. So legacy things, getting the art in. This also means upgrading Infinity to the rigged version, a newly rigged version that includes the shoes, and getting that into this type of a system. We're going to create a little mini island for people to load up their Knitties and run around in. And then what was the final bit of development, which is the game design. So this is about the game design aspect, is really the new thing that we're moving into, that we're pivoting into, as we've nailed our art down, right? We've pinned down our art style pretty much. Still a bit of work, but we know where we're going in that direction. We know how to do the blockchain integration and what we want to do with it. And then what we need to do is come up with some cool gameplay scenarios where people can explore Knittie Nook and kind of have fun and want to be there, basically. So that's the next stage, is exploring that stuff. And that stuff's pretty fun, actually. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm hoping to be able to do on these streams on a weekly basis moving forward. I don't know if there's any other interesting stuff here. There's the anniversary shot. This is not the current Knittie project, but I'll be starting the Knittie project again anyway. Knittimal test, so some of the early Knittimal stuff, which is kind of cool. Photo shoot. Everyone loves this one because of the rainbow. Yeah, that's pretty nice. This is different to the previous one. Like I flattened off the land in this one. The previous land is sort of raised in the middle, which presented problems for having flat objects on it. So yeah, that was I felt like the curved land looked really cool, but in a practical standpoint, it just didn't work in the modular sense. So you couldn't fit the pieces together in it in a cohesive way. So this sort of setup works a lot better. But again, these are quite old now, right? These are from about April. I think they are, yeah. I think they're from about April. So these are getting quite old now, these shots. Yeah, so in the coming weeks, I think what I'm going to prioritize on these streams is just sort of building out little areas and maybe getting a Knittie up and running around, getting the Knittie customizer done, getting the UI built out for that, getting that onto the web so that people can log into my Nook and check out their S1 Knitties with all the latest stuff on it. And then hopefully what we'll do is, over time, as I add more art assets into that into the output, then you'll have more options, because Sparrow probably won't be there completely right from the outset. You might have, like, if you've got a Sparrow, you might be able to put the hat on. The hats are easy. The issues are with all of the clothing, right? So hoodies are fine. Anything with a hoodie, that's quite easy to translate. But anything with customized clothing that's outside of the main set of Knittie's assets is a little bit more complicated. This is really nice, actually. I really like, the aesthetic of these. These are meant to look like they're bits of cut out paper, these clouds. and that's something that I think we should definitely be maintaining. Yeah, that kind of playful type scenario. So, moving forward, looking forward, it would just be so cool if we were able to make up some kits of these, a little bit like the Lego Mario stuff. It'd just be absolutely amazing. Okay. So I think we're probably coming to a close here. Again, this one wasn't really just to do a ton of development. We haven't done any dev on stream. It was really just to clear out the AMA questions and answer a few questions for some of our new community members. Matthew Davis, shout out to Matthew Davis for asking those questions. So it's basically just clear the board of those and just clarify what we're going to be doing in these sessions moving forward. My intention is for these to be available to people who have Knitties. But I think what I'll do is I'll take the lead from the boosters or the community on that. Should these sessions be available, these weekly sessions be available only to people who hold Knitties, or should we be opening them up to the wider community? That'd be really interesting to hear. And of course, we can also do these on spaces or as spaces as well, potentially. Obviously, we can't stream the screens if that's the case. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to hear people's perspectives on that as well. My Knitties working days are currently Monday for half a day, Friday for about 3/4 of a day, and any time I have at the weekends that's free. I'm keeping one day for family though, moving forward. So I'll be doing one family day or one read a book day, right? So yeah, just bear that in mind. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming. These will be longer in future because I'll just be getting on with development basically, and streaming it basically. So yeah, could quite easily fill 4 or 5 hours with that. So yeah, thanks a lot for coming along, and we'll see you in the Knitties server. I might be able to jump onto Minecraft later. I've not been on there for about 3 weeks, I think, so it'd be great to jump on there and see if anyone's found any of my secret rooms that I built. Yeah, that would be interesting. Right, see you later everyone. Thanks for coming.